Welcome to episode 271 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Alt. This is going to be the best episode ever. We have Yikes of the Week. A lot of changes coming to the CDL, but does it really make a difference? We'll tell you all about it. RIP to MiBR. And, if you didn't know, G2 kind of dominates in Valorant. And, of course, we'll have e-news to cap it all off. But before we get to that, let me tell you about the show's sponsor, Alt Esports. Been telling you for the last couple of weeks, their 90s drop for the Overwatch League is going to come out. And boy, it did. On Friday, they released the team drop. And pretty sure not all the teams are available right now. But I have from inside sources that there will be. So New York, don't worry. Your team will be available. But you know what? I don't think that necessarily matters because these are clean looking. You go to altesports.com. You can pick yourself up a Overwatch League 90s shirt. Will give you what I would say Nickelodeon memories. Reminds me of 90s Nickelodeon. So go check that out. You can also pick yourself up a 101 Burglars hoodie brought to you by your very own Center Ring boys. It's getting cold out. Hoodie season is approaching. Football is here. That means hoodie season is here. And that also just means open up the window in game season, which is honestly the best time of year when you can get away with that. But you don't want to be cold while you're gaming with your windows open. So that's where you go to altesports.com and pick yourself up an Overwatch League 90s hoodie, a 101 Burglar hoodie. You name it, they got it. altesports.com.
Hey, this is Typix. You're listening to Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Yes, this is episode 271, presented by Alt, and it is coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, September 14th, 2020. The time, 8:58 p.m. Central Time. It is Monday. We are a day late, but that's okay. We'll explain why here in a sec. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. In the description of said Twitter, you can go and join our Discord, be a part of the conversation, join random game nights with the Nuge and myself. That can all be done in our Discord and Twitter at The Center Ring. Speaking of, my name is Tim. Hello, I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
I apologize to the listening audience for delaying the show for that piece of crap game that I watched last night. Like, just wasted a solid Sunday show for that nonsense.
So here's the deal.
Talking about the Cowboys game, for those of you that don't know.
For new listeners of the show, you'll learn this pretty early on. But if the Cowboys and or Lions ever play on a Sunday, we're probably pushing that show back. A Sunday night, I should say. We are going to probably push that show back to Monday. Now, you don't ever have to worry about that being my fault. The Lions, I think we had like maybe one or two Sunday night games last year, but then the league realized like, oh, that was a mistake. And we don't get that anymore. But I think neither of us were in a mental state to do the show last night anyways.
Yours was heartbreaking. Absolutely. I had Red Zone for free yesterday, which was amazing. Loved it so much. Watched 10 hours of football. Your game was truly... It was like perfectly fitting for a Lions fan.
I mean, just really, as a Lions fan, the only way the season could start.
It really felt right. Like, it felt right in so many wrong ways.
What was funny is, so our buddy, our mutual friend Donut, was over at my house, and we were watching. You know, he's a Jets fan.
Even worse.
So we had double setup on the TV. Half of it was the Lions game, half of it were the Jets game, and both of us pretty much the entire time were just like, well, looks like this season's the same old, same old.
But at least he got to lose hope early on.
See, and that's what I told him, because he was like, well, at least your game was exciting for you. I'm like, but was it?
No.
Like, literally, we had the lead by 2 scores with 4 minutes to go.
Well, and then you also had the game-winning touchdown in his hands.
And the rookie, I mean, he's a rookie. I don't want to blame him, but
bro, that's a rookie catch, though. That's
heartbreaking. And, I mean, but you know what? I'm not going to place it on any of the players. It's 100% the coach. 100% the coaching staff for the Detroit Lions. I can't believe, like, this is only Matt Patricia's 3rd season, and it's like I'm already done. I'm already, like, goodbye. I'm done. I don't listen. So it's like a pick your poison double-edged sword situation as a Lions fan, because your kickoffs are at noon. So on one hand, I can get my meaningful football out of the way, and unless the Cowboys play later that day, I'll have them on and I'll watch it. But I don't get upset about the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys. I like seeing them win, but they don't ruin my day if they lose. I was so upset, Anuj, all day Sunday. And even my wife knew about it. And she's like talking to her mom, my mother-in-law, on the phone. She's like, what's wrong with Tim? I was like, just don't. You don't like it when I swear in front of your family. Don't ask me how my day is.
You know.
Like, you know how it is. You were here. You saw it. It's incredible.
Well, at least as you've waited 3 years to be done, I'm almost feeling that way after one game, which is depressing. The only difference I thought in our offense was there was no clapping on the sideline. Otherwise, it looked like the same damn team I've seen for the last 10 years. So I'm not sure what how to feel after last night. But here we are.
Football is back. So that's the good news. The good news is football is back. The bad news is both our teams seem to suck again. The even better news is we can hide our sorrow and sadness through the beauty of esports, because I think it's safe to say Cloud9 is back in CS. I was joking about it last episode. I'm 100% serious. Cloud9 is back. MiBR is out. I mean, really,
as a Cloud9 fan, the 2 best things that have happened to you in a long time happened in the same week.
It's pretty unbelievable. So we'll talk to that in a moment. But first, let's get into some Yikes of the Week, because we did a late Yikes of the Week last week, but that still doesn't mean this will disappoint. I'll let you go with yours first.
You know, Tim, I love to talk Fortnite from time to time, so I'm glad we're getting to do it.
We are a Fortnite podcast.
We are at least talking about it. So, you know, for those of you that don't remember, there was a player on FaZe, FaZe Jarvis, that streamed himself cheating to show, in his words, to show how easy it was to cheat in Fortnite. And he was making it a YouTube video. So intentionally did it, intentionally streamed it. Stupid, I think. You know, I know there's a lot of advocates for him. Thought it was a dumb thing to do. Anytime you're going to cheat in a game, you're going to risk yourself from being permanently banned. And look, they came down with a harsh penalty on him in the sense that they are not going to unban him. He is like permanently banned from playing Fortnite, at least on stream. Obviously, they're not going to be able to stop him off stream from creating multiple accounts.
Right.
So just the other day, he tweets out, I'm back. I'm going to play Fortnite tonight. Basically a double FU to the Epic developers, and said, I'm going to play Fortnite. And so the hype built up around this and got a lot of likes. It was trending on YouTube that, you know, Jarvis is back and yada, yada, yada. He streams for 13 minutes before his ban kicks in. And for those of you that can't see me, I'm doing this in quotes, ban. The reason this is a yikes, and it's a speculation on my end, that was totally staged. That whole thing was 100% in my mind a staged video made for YouTube. It didn't go to a ban screen. It just said he had been like logged out, which in my mind makes me believe somebody else just logged into his account in another computer in another room to kick him out. It happened like 13 minutes in. It was the perfect YouTube reaction video. I mean, you might as well have had Courage and Maven and all these guys in there yelling. It was that hype when he got banned. So to me, it was made for clicks. They got the impressions out of it. It did what it was supposed to do, but it was bogus, dude. It was so fake.
I 100%. I mean, first off, I don't know if it was fake because FaZe is such a genuine organization, especially on the content creation side. I mean, nothing they do is staged or exaggerated or set up.
Not at all.
Not at all. FaZe is super honest in that regards, really from the beginning. I have here, I don't know how this is going to sound because I'm playing it through my phone. This is when Jarvis got caught the first time and he did his apology video. So this is this audio. Let's see how it sounds. Apologies if this doesn't sound good.
Especially from a game, that I love so much. Like, I've never made a video like this, and I never thought I would have to. Oh, I can't speak. All I ever want is just like a chance to be able to play Fortnite again. Like, that's all I want to do is just play Fortnite. I just want to do what I truly love the most in life, and it's just.
So there's a quick snippet. There's like 7 minutes of it, and you get the point. He is like bawling his eyes out during his apology video. And then, like, within 48 hours, they're making other clips, and he's laughing, and they're doing their FaZe bit where they're like, whoa, what is this? Whoa! You know how FaZe do. FaZe up, no hate. I don't hate anyone. But if I had to hate someone, Jarvis would probably be in my top 10.
His reason for getting banned was incredibly dumb to begin with. And now just the way that this is like gone, it's just a big publicity stunt is how I feel. And so, I mean, look, I don't hate him at all. Like, I really don't hate him.
I mean, he doesn't affect my day. Literally, I've thought of FaZe Jarvis twice in my life. This moment now, and when he was banned the first time. Other than that, I've never heard of him. I don't really know what he does at FaZe. He could be the mail guy for them.
They needed him to do this to make it worth it to keep him on, on the payroll. Like, he needed to do something big, right? It was big. Like, it accomplished what they were supposed to do. It was just, it's funny because I know there's a lot of people out there that believe it was real. Like, there are
a lot of 12-year-olds, which is FaZe's target
to a
market.
certain audience to, like, it's a fun video for them. So they did a good job in that retrospect, but it's like a bullshit staged video at the end of the day, right? Like, I feel like normal adult will watch that and be like, they did this for clicks.
Pretty
like,
fake.
That's what it was for.
Pretty fake. But the 12-year-olds eat it up. So
love it. Love it.
FaZe up. FaZe up. My yikes of the week comes from our familiar friend with the U.S. military, making their presence known on Twitch yet again. This is from the U.S. Navy side, as they decided to stream Among Us, hit popular game going on right now. Decided to try. Here's a yikes inside of a yikes. Me and my buddies tried playing Among Us for the first time over the weekend. We could not get into. One of us every single time kept getting a bug and it wouldn't let us into the servers. So we just gave up and we played Uno. So
how was that?
I would like to believe the hype that Among Us is great and everyone loves it, but I'm glad this was $5. Because if it was any more, I'd ask for a refund.
It's an amazing big streamer game when they're all playing with, you have a bunch of personalities playing together.
But I even think with friends, right? Like,
content.
if you had 10 friends or something, I think it's just a good party game. But even in private servers, we couldn't find it. So I digress. That was my rant on Among Us. So the U.S. Navy decided to stream Among Us. Issue here is they had what I would call less desirable names. Maybe one that, as representing the U.S. military, you probably shouldn't have. Do you have some of the names in front of you?
I do. You have... This is the worst one because he picks the black avatar and his name is Gamer Word. Put 2 and 2 together and you'll probably know what he's talking about. You had Japan 1945.
Ask Ninja what the word is. He'll know.
Yeah, they'll tell you. Japan 1945, and then Nagasaki, which, looking back in time, was not a good year for Japan. It was like a tough time. And so Yes, I agree with you. The fact that it was it's nothing that we haven't seen in like Japan 1945 and Nagasaki. Those words probably would not get banned in a video game, right? Like if you created a player name with that, it realistically probably wouldn't get banned. Either with gamer word, it's just what it's correlating to is like, come on, it's a shitty thing to be doing anyway. Even
Like
though
we
you're
get
not
it. We get what you're
saying it,
doing.
like we get what you're doing, right? But yeah, it's a yikes because this is bad representation. Like this does not belong.
When you've already been ran through the ringer, right? Like how the army, oh, I think wasn't it the army the last time that had like the Twitch chat and the war crimes and things like that going, and now this.
The embedded like streams because they had
Yeah.
fake audience numbers, like
Yeah.
15,000 when there was zero chat going on.
First off, this hits close to me because as someone with the last name that is spelt Krajewski, I cannot use my name in like 99% of the games out there because they think it's anti-Semitic when no, it's just my last name. I would love to have the name on the back of my jersey, but I can't. I can't do it in NHL. They won't allow it. They will allow me to play against Hitler, but I cannot be Krajewski. No, you don't even say the word in it. So this hits close when people are using inappropriate names and getting away with it because I can't use my legit name and get away with it. So there's that. I've always said if I ever get to Make-A-Wish level in life, that will be my Make-A-Wish, is to let me use my name in
video
a game.
games.
Like, that's what I will wish. If I ever find a genie in a lamp, wishes 1, 2, and 3 will be let me use my name just to make it happen. There's also, I think, though, another yikes to this, and I said it when the Army was in here for Yikes of the Week, is I want everyone grab a mirror, grab your cell phone, turn on the selfie cam, and look yourself in the eyes. I want you to really look at yourself and ask, am I any better than this? And I can promise you the answer is no. No, because we're all... a Slasher tweeted out, the U.S. Navy is just your normal cringe lord. Slasher, bro, are you not the one who does bits with Simp Lord 69 when you go on TV for interviews? Like, is that not also cringe lord level? Like, come on. We all laugh at it, right? And don't let me hear from you Twitch moms out there that you're worried about the U.S. Navy warping your children's mind into joining the Army or the Navy or the military. First off, we've already said it. Like that's just what they do. They're supposed to be recruiting. That's their job, whatever. There's a lot more things on Twitch you should be worried about than the U.S. Navy streaming Among Us. Like if that's what convinces your kid to join the Navy, if watching a 5-minute stream of them playing Among Us is like, Mom, I think I'm in.
They sold me.
I've done zero research. All I've seen is this 15-minute stream, and I want in. Then you know what? God bless them. But
let them go. Let them go.
There's a lot bigger things on Twitch. You should probably be worried about warping your kid's sense of thought than the U.S. military.
That's not where their money is going. Don't worry.
No.
When you see that $5 charge a month going to Twitch, they're probably not doing it to the U.S. Navy.
Yeah. Just when you see that charge going to an OnlyFans account and your son says, no, Mom, it's to a Twitch streamer, don't worry. You might want to worry.
That's what she uses as payment, Mom.
That's what you use. It's like PayPal. You don't understand. It's PayPal for streamers. It's OnlyFans. So yeah, just all I gotta say is, U.S. military, you should probably be held to a higher standard in that regards, and maybe not be dumb.
Yeah, unfortunately, not much different than what we see in today's gaming anyway. But yeah, they should be held to a higher standard.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of being held to a higher standard, Anuj, you like that segue?
That was good.
We finally have had one of the most guilty parties in CSGO history being held to a higher standard and being held accountable. And no, I'm not talking about Cloud9 because they fixed that last week. I'm talking about MiBR, made in Brazil. The roster that you and I have talked about multiple times, saying that it won't get any better because they're never going to change the core roster, which is ultimately what has turned into the issue there. But lo and behold, Cloud9 and MiBR must listen to this podcast because they ended up dropping Taco, Fur, and Dead. Now, Dead was kind of obvious because, of course, he's the coach who got busted for cheating and everything there, but ends up dropping Taco and Fur. So you think, okay, that's pretty big. But hold on, because then Fallen comes out and says, you know what? I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy with your decision to drop these guys. I'm also leaving, saying, quote, we enter as a team, and as a team, we will leave.
Respect him for that.
It reminds me of the good old days in esports where, you know, when I was a professional, I don't know if I've said this on the show. I used to be a professional.
Again, in case I probably forgot.
I used to be a professional in Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. And when I was a professional in Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, I probably could have like kick-started my career. And, you know, whether it be Call of Duty, Halo, I mean, I probably had my pick at what game I wanted to be pro in at the time. Because it was me and my buddy TJ were kind of the two better ones on the team, and we were getting approached by other pro teams to want to like, hey, why don't we scrim together? Why don't we try to figure stuff out? And TJ and I, being the loyal friends yet dumbasses that we were back then, no, we want to play with our friends. We want to play with our friends. And so although I have respect for Fallen for saying this, I'm also like, yeah, but that's what got you here in the situation that you're in. Because you were a team, and it wasn't working out.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense, he maybe doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, right? Like, his contract is obviously coming to an end. That's why he's able to step away at this point in time. And so it just seems like he doesn't want to be part of that rebuilding process, right? Like, they've lost control of the brand identity when it comes to MiBR. Like, it's a little bit odd now, the team name, because you feel like they have to go get a couple more Brazilian players to replace them unless they wanted to look outside. But it feels a little odd because it was really, this team was built for the core of SK and Luminosity, or, you know, Luminosity and all that. So I do feel like it was a classy move on his part to go out with his comrades, right? Like, live by the sword, die by the sword. Fallen didn't want to probably be part of a rebuild, and he looks like the good guy in this situation, making the move that he made. Like, it's good PR in his sense, because it's been tough for the last year and a half for these guys, you know. And that's crazy saying that. It's really been like a year and a half since they've had any real success. I mean, they haven't won trophies since Zotac 2018 Grand Finals, like, you know, like major, like big trophies in that sense. However, I think a lot of the hate they've been getting on social media is like really unwarranted, because it is a legacy team breaking up. Like, that should be looked at as how we saw VP when that group broke up. Like, there was sadness there. Same thing with, you know, what's gone on with NIP and the Fnatic core kind of splitting when Olaf and these guys left. They should be looked at that way. Like, they deserved it. They have the trophies on the wall to say it. I feel like it's time too. Like, I don't disagree with the move, but I do feel like they should be getting a little bit more respect on their way out from the overall fan base.
Yeah, in our Discord, I had a listener ask, like, is this the end of an era? And I was like, for Brazil CS, unless these guys stick together with a new org, right? Because they could always salvage it if these three core members stick together. But I mean, Fallen and Fur, they've been together since the however you say it, Keyed, right? With that Keyed Stars. That's how I always said it anyways. They've been together forever, and that was back in 2015, right? Before their Luminosity days, and then the rest of the core has been together since Luminosity, switched from SK, and now MiBR. It is an end of an era if they don't stick together. Now, the bright side is because Fallen did his bro move, sure, they might be able to keep it going, but the fact that this was the first time that they've all been released, right, I think is telling. I think you're absolutely right. It does scream signs of the Virtus Pro days when you just knew, right? They weren't playing at the same level for whatever reason. Now, a lot of the MiBR guys are saying that, well, it's because of recent decisions of the org and things like that. I don't know if I necessarily buy it. I mean, they've given you top talent to play with as fifth, and it still hasn't worked out. So I don't know if you necessarily want to blame the org for not making the moves. As a MiBR franchise hater, as I like to call myself from Luminosity days, it's almost kind of like, when the Packers finally start to suck again. It's how I'm going to feel. Because for the longest time as a Cloud9 fanboy, these guys were the reasons why Cloud9, in my head, just couldn't kind of get over the hump. So, I think it's for sure a definite end of an era in CS. I think if you're a Brazil fan, we've talked about this maybe a month or so ago, that as a Brazil fan, you're kind of worried at where you were at, where at one point in time, you were, almost dangerous as EU, which is saying something considering you only had like top, 2-3 teams in the top 20, but those 2 or 3 teams were dominant in their time and fashion. So I don't know where this goes. Ultimately, I think this ends up splitting the Brazilian scene. You've seen, I've seen every org tease that they're going to go back. I've seen SK say that they would love to go back to picking up a Brazilian roster. I've seen Luminosity tease that they're going to go back and want to pick up a Brazilian roster. So who knows where they end up. I do think it's going to be a package deal just with how they left, but end of an era for sure.
Yeah, people have to remember, like, if I'm a Brazilian fan, I'm at least looking at this with, you had a really good long run. It's like rare. It's really rare what this lineup was able to do together and accomplish over that long of a period of time, right? These guys were winning championships back in 2016 and really were a very strong competitive team into 2018. Really, the last year and a half, 2 years has been a little sketchy for him, right? Especially with the departure of coldzera to FaZe. Like, that's when I looked at it as the break, right? Like, this is the second breakup in my eyes. coldzera leaving was huge. It was an instrumental move because this guy was still at the top of his game when he left that lineup. So it hurt more then, I could feel like, as a Brazilian fan, than maybe it does right now, because the writing's been on the wall for a little while. So if you didn't see a change coming, I feel like you were just walking around with blinders on. I do think I agree with you. I think they find a way to stay together, at least 2 out of the 3, maybe not all 3. Maybe there's an option for one of these guys to potentially be on Cloud9. I look at somebody like Taco, potentially, who played with Team Liquid. Maybe that makes some sense. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing, but like, I at least see 2 out of the 3 moving on somewhere together. A team like Luminosity would be, great. I don't know what their lineup is right now. SK, I don't know if they even have an active lineup right now. But if they kind of went back, and
Luminosity doesn't have an active CS roster, and neither does. SK hasn't been in CS since
the departure.
Their breakup. Now,
yeah,
they did do SK dirty. Let's be fair. They did every org dirty when they left, but that's not what this is about. This is to pump their tires up a little bit.
Again, for any of these guys, though, to get those 3 brand names together on your team is going to be a boost for your org, right? If SK is not involved in CS and they get them at a little bit of a discounted rate because they're willing to take all 3 of them together, like, hey, if we're taking all 3 of you, we're not going to pay you all 3 top dollar. You're not worth that. That's why you got cut, right? That's why you're not on the roster actively together. So you might be able to get them at what you would consider a discounted rate in CS to keep that core together. And look, maybe even somebody like KNG leaves the team and goes back and follows them wherever they go.
He has said too, KNG's even came out and said, like, he's not happy with the way it's worked out, right? They're vocal about not liking the situation.
This was an organizational decision. Okay, so this did not come from the players, in the sense of saying the players were like, we needed to make a change to make this work out. You do see that in esports a lot of the times, right? Where players dictate moves. In this case, like, the organization made the move, and it looks like none of them, even the remaining players, were on board with this move.
Can I throw another team out there to suggest?
Shoot.
Wouldn't be flashy. It wouldn't be game changing. It would almost, dare I say, be a backward step, maybe a lateral move. But you are looking at like half of Yaz ownership now being free agents. What better way to negotiate? What better way to negotiate with the team when you're the owner?
You're paying your own salary, though. It's kind of nice. Could be good and bad, I guess, depending on what the finances look like.
Right.
You know?
But after dealing with it, hey, you know, they were saying they didn't like the way MiBR ended. They didn't like the way the decisions were being made. Well, why don't you go and avoid the conflict that they've had, right? They've gotten a lot of, again, the reason why a lot of people have bad tastes in MiBR, in their mouth about MiBR now, is because of what they've done recently, being owner of as one of them. When you're in a qualifying for a major and you're playing against a team you own, it's kind of like, well, what are we
that
do
and
here?
the fact that they're cocky as hell when they've been sucking, right? Like they never lost that, which is good and bad. They never lost that mentality of we're number one, even when they were number 20.
That's not the Brazilian way.
Yeah, like, but again, that's probably a good quality to have when you're an athlete to feel that way at all times. But that's also, you're right. Like, there's a couple different reasons why they're a disliked team. They're a disliked team by a lot of people for the same reason you dislike them. Is because they were so damn good, and your team was getting smacked by them for a long time. And in C9's case, you're right. That always seemed to be the hurdle. That was Roger Federer to Andy Murray type situation, right? Like there was just that one person that prevented you from maybe competing for a lot of trophies during, a year or two span there. So a lot of reasons to dislike them. But again, at the end of the day, what they've accomplished makes them a legendary team within this game, within Counter-Strike. Like they will go down as one of the best to do it. And man, Tim, when this lineup was really clicking, like go back and think 2016 MLG Columbus, go back and think ESL 1 Cologne 2016. Like, think of how good this team was, like truly how dominant they were. That, in all honesty, like, I was always rooting for Cloud9 back in that time because that was NA's team. Like, I always just kind of root for NA's team. And even I did not have faith going into those matchups because you knew this team was scary.
They
1
were
to 5.
Literally every every one of the 5 guys on that roster was a threat. I mean, I remember sitting there in Columbus. I was at the MLG major in Columbus, and I was saying, it doesn't matter who's left alive. They can do a 3v1 clutch. No problem. Like, you aren't confident in any of, like, outcome there if one of them is alive still. They were such a dominant team, back then and all the way, I mean, like you said, really up until, like, maybe a year ago. And that's just when we started seeing the decline.
You're right. It really was all 5 back then that were just so dangerous. Like FNX scared the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you knew this guy could win any given time. And hey, maybe that's somebody else they decide to partner back up with. Who knows? Who knows what they do from here. But yeah, this was really one of the teams that put a different type of fear into you. And you just didn't have the confidence going up against them. They were cocky. Fallen was the best in-game leader and opera combination in the game. Cold Zero was who Cold Zero was, the number 1 player in the world for a couple of years there. Like, really just accomplished some things that most fans would die for their team to be able to have a run the way they did. 2 majors in the life of CSGO, right? Like, is a lot. It's a big portion of the game's lifespan. These guys were the best out there. So
comparing them
sad
to the dynasties in the history, your NIP Magic, your Fanatics, CSGO, obviously, in this realm. Astralis, we can even throw Astralis in there. The Virtus Plow. I would honestly tell you that these guys would have to be like one of the top ones out there. Because when they started their dynasty run, it was when Fnatic was still on theirs. They were kind of the team that ended up killing that Fnatic dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, so if I was ranking them, this is almost like a could be a fun segment too. But if I was like ranking them, like I would probably have Astralis at number one. It's just been so
Too
long.
long.
But
It's tough. I
yeah,
mean,
too long.
four majors. What
Like
argument?
what do you say? Like what are you gonna say, right? So
All
you have
right. So
Astralis at number one.
let's save
I would
this
have
then.
like Fnatic at number two, probably SK or the MIBR, whatever, at number three. And the only reason I have NIP as low as I do, as much as I love them, they did it in the early lifespan of the game. I think the competition has just gotten better, so much
Your
better
Gretzky
every
shooting
year.
at stand-up goalies.
Yeah,
The
like
goalies didn't know they could drop back then.
I would maybe
So,
only, VP and NIP would probably be on the same line for me, and
yeah.
then SK Fnatic and now with the Astralis. Fnatic's lineup was really something just different. Like they just brought a
Yeah.
they were just different, I thought. But yeah, like these guys will be in the history books, will be looked at as one of the greats. And I think they are right now. It's just I feel like it's more negative in public perception.
A
Than
lot
you're
of
seeing like good
self-inflicted
things.
though. Let's be real. Like
Yeah, for sure.
you got to give it to them where they I'll give them credit. It's tough to argue the record books, but at the same time, yeah, it's like they did not do themselves any favor. So there's that. MIBR changes. So right now, the only people still on the team are what? KNG and some other
TRK.
So obviously they are looking to make changes with the way KNG is talking. Who
knows what you're going to see with that.
He might not be on the
like,
roster, so we'll see. But huge changes in the land of Counter-Strike. Also doesn't help the fact that they're in Europe right now. So tough break.
Funny, I saw some line out there, made in Brazil, like dead in Europe or something like that.
Yeah, like tough break being in Europe now. So also probably wasn't if you're a struggling team deciding after the player break to go to EU to try to fix yourself, might not have been the best. Look, when you're injured, they send you to AAA. You go to the minors to warm back up. You don't go right into the major leagues.
You know who's enjoying this the most right now? Richard Lewis.
Oh, just
eating it up. Just eating it up right now, I'm sure.
He gets it from the brunt of the fans. That's why. He takes it from all sides. So yes, I'm sure he popped a bottle of champagne or something of the sorts just to celebrate the moment. Hey, I don't blame you. You go knock yourself out. Knock yourself out, Richard. All right, so there's MIBR. We'll keep you updated if anything happens there. Other changes coming up next year. We'll do a quick little CDL update as they announced this morning. And when I say this morning, I really truly mean this morning at like 2 a.m. They sent this tweet out. Albeit probably a pre-scheduled tweet and they just forgot to hit PM. We've all been there before.
Yeah.
Their social media guy probably woke up this morning and was like, shit. His phone's blowing up and just like, oh.
It probably got more traction though because of how it came out.
Well,
that's
course.
the first thing I saw was, why the hell did this come out at 2 a.m?
So I saw that right when I woke up. Great thing to wake up to though. So anyways, these are some of the updates that are coming to CDL next year. First and foremost, the big thing, CDL will now be played on PC. So no longer console, no longer on the PlayStation. You will not see the PlayStation 5. It will be on PC next year. The challengers will be cross-platform. So you can be on Xbox, you can be on PlayStation, PC, doesn't matter. It's going to be cross-platform, but the Pro League will be on PC only. Now, for anyone who is upset about this, there are really two options here. You either did not read their announcement and you're just a headline newsman and going off of reactions on Twitter, or you are dumb because there is really no way this is a bad thing for the league. Because one thing I did not mention yet, Anuj, is although the challengers will be cross-platform, So whether you play Xbox, PlayStation, or PC, you can go pro. You have a chance to compete and get your name recognized, which is huge because for Xbox players, that was never an option for the longest time. PC players, never an option for the longest time. You had to play PlayStation. The other thing is it is still controller only. So although it's going to a PC, it is still approved controllers only. And I think that's just a way of saying you can probably use an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller. Or if you really want to go pro, like a USB NES controller.
I mean, I think the only negative here, I'm going to get back to, I want to touch on a couple different things that you just mentioned, actually. The only negative that is in people's eyes that I can also be worried about is for challengers in the cheating aspect. So in the challengers grouping, the cheating, yes, I would be pretty concerned there because Activision has shown to do a very poor job when it comes to handling cheaters. Although as of late, we've seen a lot more like cease and desist letters, and they've actually approached people to shut down their sites, and maybe hey, they knew this was the step that was coming up.
It was getting to a point in Warzone where I just thought playing against a cheater was a feature.
Yeah, like that. Did I click quad cheaters? Which game mode did I click on here? You know,
no, but like so here,
that is the only negative I could think of as we were getting ready to like type this up, and I was like, man, well, what are some other reasons people might not like this? Outside of that, Tim, playing on a PC, take away my fanboy for a moment, okay? Like I have a PS4 sitting 3 feet away from me. Never touch it. Why? Because everything just runs better on a PC. It is butter compared to console gaming. There's really no comparison in my mind. Like, honest to God, I cannot stand when people try to make that argument because I just feel like you're making the argument for the sake of having an argument. You're playing the devil's advocate because really, if you look at it, there's no way it's even close. This is going to get them the ability to have higher frames, higher resolution. It's going to just naturally feel better because of those two things. If you want to get more technical from a game perspective, the ability to pause in a freaking match that we saw ruin so many games this year because of internet issues, the ability to pause, even if PC was shittier and they gave them all GTX 700s, the ability to pause almost still makes it a better deal in my mind from the esports side.
All the things that we have cried and moaned about last season not having for years, right, in the Pro League, you now have a chance of having, and I say chance because they still haven't announced exactly what they're going to use the move to PC for, but I think common sense tells you they can play around a lot more with PC files than they can a PlayStation or Xbox. Just hands down. Like you said, like that's not an argument. That is fact. You can play around. There's a reason PC, like people are always like, man, I wish we could get mods for GTA on console, or I wish we could get, fun mods for whatever on console. The reason you can't is because it's just 1,000 times easier to mod things for PC use. You got to think, how many times have we complained that, after a match, you pretty much are gone. Like you don't get that scoreboard anymore. You can't look up stats for Call of Duty. This can open that door for an open API to then track the stats. We can actually have all this. They can have an actual wiki or an HLTV.com now for Call of Duty with stats, if they go that route. You can have the pauses for when something happens. It doesn't have to be this, moving earth task to get a developer to put it in the game. It's just on the computer now. It's just something that's easy fix. Write the code up and boom, right? Easier said than done, but you get my drift. The PC will allow a lot more doors to open than what the console ever did.
Yeah. So, I agree. And I mean, I think, one of the cool things that could come out of this, Tim, that I saw Clayster tweet out, is that this opens the door also for like third-party companies to come in and run ESEA Faceit type programs, for the competitive side. Before, they really haven't worried about it because most of the competitive scene has stayed on console because that's where they play. Now you're going to see these guys on PC and also create more of the fan base to consider going that route, especially younger ones that want to go pro. If they see this is what the pros are using, I want to use what the pros are using mentality comes into play there. But I think this kind of opens the door for some of that, which would be really exciting, especially for people like you and me to mess around and some of that stuff. Like, it's always nice, right? It's always fun. The
Well, it's
business,
just now it won't be the end of the world if you might not have the pro ladder released right away. It might not be the end of the world if I can go play Face It on for Call of Duty now or something like that.
we'll see. Like, hopefully those things can be implemented quickly. But again, the opportunity, the options are there. The business side of this makes more sense than anything else, though, because now you're cutting out the third party cost of anytime you sell a skin on PC or on PS4 or Xbox, that money is getting split up to, like, the store takes a cut. Like PlayStation takes a cut because it's on their store. Now that money is just split two ways between Activision and between team owners, and I guess it'll trickle down to players, you would suppose, and things of that sort. But this makes just as much sense from the business perspective as it does from the competitive side. I think it's a fantastic move. The other thing that you mentioned that I wanted to touch on is the controller side. Um, I think this is a great opportunity. Shit, I need to see if Scuff has an IPO, because like I feel like a company like them can really capitalize on this and start bringing back some Xbox 360 controller style controllers and make those like relevant again. That was widely considered the best controller of all time, just in terms of shape and form, and
I still use it. It's my controller of choice.
yeah, like I could see more options coming out, and they're going to allow a lot of controller variations. They'll be strict when it comes to like adding odd features that are out of the norm, but I think in terms of shape, you'll see a
Like
lot
I said,
of.
I think when they say approved controller, I think their main goal in all of that is just Xbox and PlayStation. You can come from both sides, and that's why Challengers is cross-platform. And even though it's cross-platform, even if I'm playing on the PC, I have to be using a controller. So still doesn't quite help our issue of being pure mouse and keyboard players getting dominated by aim assist. I did see on Reddit people arguing that still isn't relevant, that it would still, like, aim assist doesn't help that much. I say bullshit. Try and play without it with a controller and then come at me and say it doesn't mean much, but
yeah, like
we're getting
that
there.
argument's always going to be there, right? Because there's two sides. It's easier to aim with our full arm than aiming with our fingers, but aim assist is supposed to counteract that, and sometimes it's too much, right?
I
And
also don't think, I will smush this theory, is some people are like, well, this is just start. This is how they start, and eventually it will be mouse and keyboard, and it can all go to PC. I do not think that is in the future for COD. I think.
Do you think they would ever combine the two, though? Allow mouse and keyboard players at any, like, not next year, it's not happening,
Right.
but like 2 or 3 years from now, could that be the thing to grow the
really
scene?
gotta fix the aim assist then, because mouse and keyboards aren't going to do it. Like, they're just not. We've seen it in other games where you have top shooters, like on PC, on Twitch, right? Like Summit, Shroud, they're all playing these games against controller users, just getting dominated because the aim
But
assist.
that's like Halo. Halo has a really bad aim assist problem.
Well, but
right?
even like
I don't think Warzone or Call of Duty is nearly as bad as Halo's aim assist.
no, but
Like,
I
really
think,
don't. It's there. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's not noticeable, but I do think a top pro gamer could compete in COD the way it is and still be like very good. It's hard for people like us, like
right.
the more
See,
normal level
I still
players.
don't think that's the case, but I've never seen a top gamer play with a mouse and keyboard and go up against, we have friends that are pretty
never
good.
been a reason to,
but-
maybe until now, which is
Right.
exciting,
Right.
right? So at least we'll see. I think we will see a little bit more of a comparison now, because now the pro gamers and challengers, like all these guys are going to buy PCs, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're seeing what the pros are using, you're going to go do it, especially if you're a challengers player. Like most of them will probably switch to PC, assuming they can afford to do that. And so I think it creates the ability for us to kind of finally see like some top PC aimers play against these top, console guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, it opens up opportunities either way. I am excited just to see how the league uses the PC, because ultimately the player, from an observer standpoint, from a fan standpoint, you honestly probably wouldn't know the difference if they didn't say anything. So I am excited to see that. As far as just regular old league news, though, free agents did start today. Already had a big one drop with Dashy signing to Huntsman, which has been rumored now for a while, but we can officially now call some of these rumors official.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a good signing for them. Just the way snipers are looking to be in this game, I think it's going to be important for somebody to be able to play that role on certain, depending on the map, obviously. But that role will be a lot more viable, I feel like, in Cold War than we've seen in Modern Warfare. It's almost been non-existent, even with 5-man setups. Like it's there, but it doesn't feel impactful the way it has in previous CODs. And so I think Dashy is a good signing. This gives them a very strong core with Scump, Formal, MVP candidate Envoy. And now Dashy, we have to see Dashy kind of come back to form a little bit. I don't also, just like Kenny mentioned on his stream, I don't buy the excuse of he didn't like the game, so that's why he just wasn't like really playing it. Like bullshit, dude. You had a contract to play. Like there's 1,000 other people out there that would have loved to have this contract. Ask anybody in challengers, like they would have grinded their asses off. So I don't like the excuse of, oh, this just wasn't a game that he liked, so he didn't play it hard and he put himself to the side. Like they benched him, for a certain reason. If he was that good, he would have started. So he's got something to prove. I think he has the ability to do it. Like we saw it 2 years ago in Black Ops 4. So if he can return to form, that's it. That's a scary looking lineup that they got there.
Some other latest rumors, again, nothing official, but I have to imagine all this is coming out sooner than later. Clay might be going to New York, like we had mentioned, a long time ago, that would be a team that we would love to see him with. So that'll be, again,
that's
nothing
happening.
official.
I feel like that's a done deal. Like that's rumor has been thrown around by so many sources now that it's like, I highly doubt everybody is wrong, and it's just
and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like Clay to New York, even when we talked about it, we were like, that just seems like that makes a lot of sense from both sides of it. So again, all these now are just waiting. I'm sure by the time we get done with the show and post it, half this shit will be confirmed and we'll look like idiots yet again. But hey,
Clay to Seattle.
That's how that works.
Like
maybe I'll message Clay and be like, hey, where are you going? Just let me know so I can say it on the show and not worry about looking like an idiot. But other than that, that's really it for CDL. Again, if you are a console diehard, I'm not here to argue the console war, PC master race, whatever. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be okay. And if you don't want to get a PC, you don't have to worry about hardware. Like some guys are saying, and Nuju even said it before the show, like, oh, I'm worried about what if people have different hardware? What if some hardware is better? That's not really how PCs work in the grand scheme of things. It might just look better for someone, but unless you're running on a potato, you should be good. And
if somebody's running a 2080 Ti and somebody's running a new 3080, like they're both going to be playing the game fine. But you expect all the pros to have the best.
I mean, yeah, any pros worrying about it. If your team's not getting that for you, then you might want to renegotiate.
Yeah.
You might need to renegotiate.
Like, for the normal player, this doesn't even matter. So everyone that's tripping, calm your nuts. Like this is available on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, and whatever the hell the new Xbox is called. Like it's going to be there on every console. Crossplay is there. You're playing with everybody still. It only affects the pro scene, and it's a good thing. Like whether you want to believe it or not, it's a good thing. Just you're gonna have to trust us on this one. I feel like we've made a good case for it.
Yep, 100%. I'm excited for the options that it gives the league to run with. Sure. Last thing before we get into some e-news, we did have the finishing up of the last, what are they calling it? Ignition series.
Mm-hmm.
Ignition series for the EU side, as the Blast Ignition or the Blast Invitational with 4 teams. The Invitational with 4 teams finished up over the weekend. And boy, did we learn a lot. I mean, so many things happened that were so unexpected, Anuj.
You know, like what I got out of this, Tim, was we've seen G2 continuously win. Like that's all they do. That's all that I got out of this particular event, right? Like it was going to be a toss up between FPX and Liquid. FPX have kind of had Liquid's number, but I knew that was going to be like the 50-50 match of who goes up against G2. I didn't think there was any question whether G2 was beating NIP. They've continued to do so anytime they've played really anybody. But now you have G2 who has won every Ignition Series event in EU. And the reason I feel like this is just something to kind of talk about for a moment here is because we talk about this EU versus NA side, right? And all we can do is compare, how these events have gone because none of them have played each other, obviously. And look, I think this is a good thing for NA. Like to only see one team consistently win doesn't mean the other teams are bad in EU, but like in NA, there's a little bit more diversity in terms of who's coming out on top. Each tournament feels a little bit like there's 2 or 3 teams really contending for that top spot, although Sentinels have come out on top majority of the time, with TSM kind of following, I think, closely behind. G2 has swept the board. They won every single Ignition Series event. Like that is pretty cool. That's like 7 or 8 events, Tim, that they've come out number 1. I know it's early, but that's a pretty damn big accomplishment to hold your hat on.
You could almost make the argument though, because it's early, you'd think it would be more shaky, right? Like the fact that you don't really know the people you're playing against, and the fact that the game is so new with new characters or new agents, whatever the hell you want to call them. Like the unknown is around every corner, and the fact that it just seems to not necessarily matter. Now, the Blast, Fun plus Phoenix did bring it close. They won 3-2 after having a win in hand, right? So you did have that. I will say this. I never want to see Split be the deciding map in any game, but at least they made it close. It was 13-11. It wasn't like your typical Split blowout that you normally see. So thank God that wasn't the case. But it does, like, come on, guys. Let's not let
we only have 4 maps. What are you supposed to do?
Put it first or something. Just don't put it last.
I think what they were hoping is that G2 would have closed it out early on, and
it
just
wouldn't
didn't
get to
that
it.
point.
You're probably right.
But
look, put another
come
map
out with
in.
more maps, and then I will care more if Splits and played. At this point, got to see them all at some point. Like that's just the way it's going to work. And so look, for G2. As a G2, like for the fans of G2, and we're fans of G2 to a certain extent. Like I have no qualms with them.
First off, they have Mixwell on the team. I will never be upset if Mixwell's winning.
To see them performing this well this early, they have such good continuity. These guys play their agents just so well, and look, they've had good storylines with David P. His father passing away in the middle of one of the events, and them winning it for him in that event. And so easy team to root for. It's concerning for the rest of EU, but right now for G2, like you couldn't ask for a better start. Like you're undefeated. So bravo to them, and we'll see how look, when this clash finally happens, it's going to be so good. Like it's so juicy just thinking about it. I cannot wait to do shows of when EU and NA go head to head. Like I just really cannot wait for it. I'm super stoked for what the future holds right now for Valorant.
Yeah, I'm very, like I said, that first international tournament in Valorant should pull in. I'm not going to say like record-breaking numbers. That'd be stupid. But at least the hype level for Valorant fans, like that should be a must-watch event.
Massive.
For the first internet, I mean, they should almost just make it like a Worlds. Just let the first international event be a badass Riot ran. Hey, this is going to be like a World Cup going in hot.
That would be cool, actually. That would be a really badass thing to do. Like, wait for that first land and just make that, like, kick it off with a major, in that sense, and just have everyone there. Like, I'm telling you, dude, like, Valorant is going to be big because of Riot at some point. They're already, in my mind, big now, but they're going to do really well in esports. And you can see it already because there is, like, that NA-EU rivalry is already happening, and that's such a big component, I feel like, to having a fun scene to keep track of, like, as a fan, to have built-in rivalries already being created before teams are even playing. It's going to be really big, and then I can see why everybody's jumping in. I can see why all these players are jumping in from different esports. Like, they know they're not switching from these games because they don't see any future in that game. They see the potential with what this game has. And so I'm like genuinely excited for the future of Valorant. I just think it's will only get better. Like, it'll really only get better. There's
Yeah.
going to be more maps, there'll be more agents, we'll have more teams. Like, it's just going to get better.
Yeah. I also realized I saw the video for Killjoy. There was like just a normal video. It wasn't like her release or anything. But it kind of, for whatever reason, just dawned on me like, ooh, we're going to get Riot production level when it comes to like events and things like that. And like, just imagine how they do Worlds and stuff for League, to have that on a scale of Valorant. It's just, I'm so ready for the world to get back to normal, to see truly how Valorant will stack up. Right? Because I think a lot of people are still just in that mindset of, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for real events to happen. I'm going to wait for the teams to fully solidify and things like that. So hopefully that's sooner than later, but we'll we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I think that's it. Let's get into some e-news real quick. Let me pull it up here. For CSGO, we have Warden is no longer with Complexity. He is one of their oldest employees. He was not a player or anything like that, but I know he kind of hits more closer to home.
Not a player with Complexity, but
yeah. I'm just saying, for people who are like, who the hell's Warden?
Yeah.
Not with Complexity, but I know that hits kind of closer home to you. You kind of fanboyed on him.
He's just an old school legend. I mean, Warden was a 1.6 god, So really, we've known him more just in the Complexity role. We had a chance to meet him over there, and like it's a big loss because he's helped grow, this team, right? Like, he was part of that process. But with this team being located in EU, he's married, he's older, he's like us in that sense. It was going to be difficult to be able to do his job, and Jason Lake kind of mentioned that on his stream. And so it wasn't like a personal issue, it wasn't a performance based thing, it's just job wasn't going to work for the life that he has right now. So unfortunate, but look, he has helped build the number 5 team in the world, so that's pretty freaking awesome.
Daps will be moving on from Gen G. Rumors now that he's going to be joining Cloud9.
He's not. That's not happening.
I would be very confused with, after signing Alex and all this hype to be built around, if they decide to sign Daps. No knock on Daps.
You got an IGL and Alex. It makes zero sense. Like, it makes zero sense. And for Cloud9, if you're truly trying to look to like be a consistent top 10 team, no offense to Dav, but he's like great at building younger talent and then them kind of moving on, and we've seen that. That move is not happening, Tim. But it's not. But sucks for Gen G, because he was a good part of that team.
Yep. So maybe Valorant is in his future. Speaking
very
of
likely
Cloud9, per sources, we have sources telling us that their next signing, or one of their signings, because who knows how they're going to do their order, will be Cooper. So
I think that would be a really good pickup. Like, he's grown in the scene. He's had a chance to have some good tier 1 exposure. He's been with Swole Patrol for a little while now, but he's been on E United and played like high level NA games, right? He's kind of come prior to the COVID era, but a lot of his tier 1 experience has been in COVID. So I think that would be a good building block pickup, but that's got to be like the fifth man.
Or
I feel
6.
like
They
on
did
that
say they're
roster.
going to run an active 6. So
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I think he's good enough to find a starting spot. Like, it would be good enough to play on a core team with the starting spot, as long as he is not expected to be like the top carry on that team.
yeah. Navi signs. How do you say his name?
So this is not Navi Signs. Navi Signs, sorry,
Or
with Huya.
With.
Their streaming service, Huya, and so their CSGO
That would explain why I
team-
didn't know who the player was.
Yeah, no, not a player. It's a streaming service. Navi's CSGO team is going to be required to stream on Huya, which probably makes sense because Simple hates Twitch and Twitch hates him. So
Number one, first question Simple asked was, can I say racist Russian slangs?
like, you know
only
what?
in
With
Russian.
Simple, obviously he's said some things that are out of line when it comes to, obviously just life and TOS, both combined. Twitch has also done him dirty, I feel, too. Like, the number one streamer for CSGO is a fake Simple stream. So at least we'll still see Simple on Twitch. Like, he's really not going anywhere.
Yeah, I just look, the logic on why Twitch bans some people and not others is a whole that's a whole episode in itself if we
Yeah.
really want to get into it. Seems like they punish esports guys a little harder too, for whatever reason.
Twitch is like, just, I don't understand them as a company, honestly. They're great, but they have so many stupid ass decisions. It just blows my. This is actually the topic I wanted to talk about today. That I was, I just have so much like built-in like questions about how the hell they run themselves. So maybe again we still save that for another time.
Yeah. In Overwatch news, we have the Final Four is officially set for Thursday, October 8th. Remember, we have a little bit of a gap between now and the finals because it will be played in, I'm blanking, Korea, right? China?
Is that where the finals are being played?
It's either Korea or China. I'm blanking right now, but it's one of the, it's not in the States. It's being played off shores and all the teams are going to be there. So these 4 will be here. So the first matchups, you have Dynasty versus Shock and Dragons versus Fusion. So, and they will be played in the same spot just for the sake of fairness and everything, obviously. And the finals and everything will be there. So
Can I ask you to tell me who's going to win, or should we wait for another time to do this?
We can wait. I mean, like I said, we have 3 weeks, so we can at least give it a little bit of a preview, a dignified. We haven't talked Overwatch League all year, so maybe talk about it at least for 5 minutes before the finals start.
There'll be a slow week coming up, I'm sure.
There'll be something. The MVP, though, has been announced. So Fleta from the Shanghai Dragons has been named MVP. It's insane, though, just when you think of the Dragons, how far they've came from Season 1, going 0-40 to now having the league MVP and possibly making the finals. So that's just insane on their story.
Would have been cool if it was the same group of people. But
Yeah, I don't think that was possible, but yes. MVP vote, 25% fan voted. You like that?
I hate fan voting. We just saw it in COD
I hate
also. Like, Huntsman won every freaking award. And, like, a lot
It's
of
the
these guys are
dumbest thing.
deserving. It's just the fan vote to me holds no value whatsoever when it comes to
That's
how I feel like these should be, if they want to be taken seriously in my mind, right?
that's the part of the issue with the esports awards that bother me. Is the esports awards, not only are the nominations fan voted, but it's all fan voted. So it's like literally 100% a popularity contest in the end. There's only one award show, Anuj, that cannot be bought. And that's the Timmys. The
can be
TCR
bought.
Esports Award Show. No fan has any say. Fan opinion means absolutely nothing. So it's never too early. We are whipping up categories and nominees for the Timmys. So we'll probably get that out. That's our yearly award show for those who don't know. Probably soon. I mean, we're already midway through September. And That's like 2.5 months until we do that show.
Do we know who sponsor of the year is already?
I got a pretty good idea, but I don't want to spoil anything. No spoilers. So, no spoilers for the sellout award. What else? Man, I cannot read without my glasses all of a sudden. I'm getting so old.
C9. So in League of Legends, C9 lets go of their coach Reaper after a historic season for the team, right? Like this was one of the best seasons that they could have asked for when it came to regular season, but not qualifying for Worlds left a bad taste in
Back to
everybody's
back
mouth.
good
And
seasons too. Like back to back
like,
historical seasons for Cloud9 and
I would expect him to find a home quickly. Like they performed well, unfortunately, just not making Worlds is a big blow to that team, and so
we can go.
He's playing the scapegoat in this sense, right? Like I don't know if he's really the problem here, but we'll see.
We can go 2 years of absolutely being the laughing stock of CS, but you don't make Worlds once, and you're making changes.
Hey, you're bigger in the biggest esport in the world, so you got that.
All right. Let's see. In Valorant, we do have some roster changes on Envy's side as they let go. I'm going to screw up the name. Akis?
Yeah, Akis and Calypso.
And Calypso. Look,
both
Calypso
of them let go.
Not a surprise.
No, kind of. Like Crashes and Food became available off of T1's roster, and so I think that maybe sped up the move.
Well,
Calypso, I think, is partially like that move is being made because of a lot of the rumors that are going around about him being involved in match fixing. Akis's name is not involved in those rumors. He even came out and said as much that like, hey, look, I know I'm going to be tied to this shit, but like, that's not me. Might be the other guy, but it's not me.
Listen here, I got
so,
cut clearly because I'm not that good. Okay?
Yeah, I just wasn't good enough. But
look,
yes,
I think between the match fixing rumors that seem pretty solid against Calypso, and then just the footage of him talking in chat in the last match where he was like, "Hey, we got to go. I have a date." But like, "Oh, we're not going to win this. Who cares?" Although maybe joking, just knowing what I know of Mike Ruffel, that doesn't probably sit well with him. And now you throw on the throwing rumors from CS in there. That was...
And Food and Crashes got the raw end of the deal with T1. Let's remember that, right? Like, they did not have their full lineup, and they got kicked while, like, Ska's over here playing different games to practice, So, look, I think they got a little bit of a raw end of the deal. That team was not performing well as a whole, but they weren't really a whole. So I think this is a great pickup for Envy. Both of these guys are good, accomplished players, and I didn't think they were bad on T1. So to me, it's a good upgrade, and we'll see how it plays out for Envy. Like this is an interesting move for sure.
And in other news, StarCraft 2 legend Raynar end up being the back-to-back DreamHack EU season winner. I believe that gets him into the Masters, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to imagine at this point. So there's some StarCraft 2 news for you.
Love it.
We are an esports podcast. We show the love for every esport. No doubt. Well, that will do it for episode 271 of the Centering Esports podcast presented by Alt. If you listened to the whole thing, skipped around, love you all the same. We will be back Wednesday night. This does not screw up our week. We will get back on track for Thursday's show. Be live on Wednesday. So follow us on Twitter at The Centering to know when we go live. Typically between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. Central. Somewhere in between that. Okay? If you just clear that window, you'll hit the start of the show.
Look, Tim, when it's your company, we don't have we clock in when we want to clock in.
We're never late. We get there precisely on time.
Exactly.
Every day. But that will be Wednesday night. So tune in live for that. We'll talk about stuff in esports and all that. Join our Discord at The Centering. Has the description and everything for you there that you'll need. We'll talk to you then. But until then, stay safe, be good. Good luck. Have fun. And love you. Bye.